PNG Nurses withdraw stop work declaration. Pacific Island judges talk technology for quality. And St. Mary's Asitavi High School celebrates 60 years in education.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartulo.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for today's news. The Papua New Guinea Nurses Association withdrew yet another stop work declaration since December last year, when an agreement was signed by the Department of Personnel Management renewing long overdue nurses awards. PNG NA Acting National President Stephen Nawick said after a progressive response from the Chief Secretary at 11 a.m. this morning, they are putting the stop work protest on hold.
But since we have entered into dialogue with the Chief Secretary, who has taken on board this task personally to see it through, we must respect the process. So I'd like to inform all our financial members that the strike is still on, but it won't happen tomorrow.
He said the fact that the Nurses Awards was not budgeted for did not justify why the government had not simply honoured their agreement.
PNG Nurses Association is very mindful of the country's financial situation, but we've got an agreement that we need to implement as well.
PNG NA's General Secretary Edward Foe brushed aside DPM's involvement in this, saying it is insignificant and they would now focus on communicating directly with the Chief Secretary's office for feedback. He argued that although their protest had been deemed unlawful by the DPM, the association was conducting it under rights highlighted in the International Labour Organization Convention 87.
It gives workers the right to organize themselves and have strikes. And the PNG government is signatory to these articles. The Labour Minister attends every year to these conventions in Geneva.
According to Nawick, the CSO responded today saying that a budget management committee has been assigned to discuss a way forward in addressing their log of claims.
But they must come good by tomorrow in a way of letter. They must really give us a clear directions how they are going to implement our award. In that manner, we will accept it and we will stop our members from going on strike.
The PNG NA has met with its largest body of members, the NCD branch, to notify them of their latest decision and disseminate it to other branches. Overall, the association has about 4,000 members to date. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari and Secretary for Health Pasco Kase met with the Acting National President Steve Nawick and senior executives of PNG Nurses Association to discuss how to address the implementation of the Nurses Awards. The MOU for the PNG NA was signed between the state and PNG NA in late November 2015, and due to its lateness, it was not catered for in the 2016 budget. Ambassador Lupari told the executives that government has just readjusted the 2016 budget due to a decline in revenue, and it would be extremely difficult to find savings at this stage. However, they have all agreed for the government to identify savings in the 2016 budget and make some payments this year. In the meantime, they agree that members of PNG NA should not take any industrial action, including going on strike. A public-private partnership between the Lay District and businessman Sir Bob Sinclair has produced good results for the Ward 2 community of Lay City. A new clinic has been established, funded partly by Sir Bob, who owns Lay Builders. He paid for much of the construction, while the district provided the land. Ward 2 has been in the media in recent months for the crime rate and alcohol abuse.
Ward 2 includes the Kasawari Road, and this area has been in the news for the wrong reasons. But today the community celebrated the opening of a new clinic, largely funded by lay businessman Sir Bob Sinclair.
They said they want about 4 or 5 rooms that were not only just here around Ward 2, but anywhere in the Morabit province when there's need, and the facilities are there built, they can use it.
Sir Bob has been in Papua New Guinea for more than 50 years and he's constructed health centers and clinics over the course of his life. The initial request for funding came from outspoken Ward 2 Councillor Carol Yowing. Some of her main challenges since taking office have been crime, alcohol abuse and maternal health. This is the first clinic they've built through this partnership.
Long service kind of same or development they come inside, me like looking law and order, must go down.
Scott Whitey, National MTV News, Ley.
Gabriel Caprice, the former Maprik MP and former minister in the Somare government, has been arrested and charged by Port Moresby police. Caprice was picked up at the Jackson's airport this morning by members of the police fraud squad. He was charged for misappropriation of government funds. Chief Justices and judges from across the Pacific today discussed the use of technology to enhance and improve quality of judicial services. Chief Justice of Guam Supreme Court, Robert Torres, spoke about the use of social media in disseminating real-time information to court users, while Chief Justice Salamo India introduced to the participants a new concept in Papua New Guinea courts called the case docketing system. Vasinatayama reports.
The case docketing system is a new database system that was introduced by the Chief Justice. Court proceedings, cases and daily listings are recorded and data is accessible by judges, including its staff and the public. Before the introduction of this technology, judges in PNG did not have access to resources like the Pacific Islands Legal Information Institute or PACLI and other legal resources. The use of technology has improved the quality of justice and the delivery of judicial services in PNG.
And the courts strive to excel in the quality of justice administered in the courts. With their support, will be enhanced and they will be able to assist the courts in Papua New Guinea.
Prior to the introduction of technology, judges in PNG would write word for word every proceeding down. Then the secretaries would type the judge's notes, which slows and prolongs the court. Today, case files and court resources are available and can be accessible online. The Chief Justice of Guam Supreme Court, Robert Torres, has supported Sir Salamo's presentation, but spoke about the role of social media in disseminating court information.
A recent poll in the U.S. showed that 87% of adults now are online and use the internet. And so there's really been somewhat of a paradigm shift to provide legal information instead of in print, in digital publication.
Chief Justice Robert encouraged judges to have access to social media, especially Facebook, but he also warned them of its implications. He said a good use of social media is to provide updates of rulings. Some jurisdictions in Australia and United States have accepted judges to be on social media. Vasinatayama, National MTV News.
A special partnership between the Legal Training Institute and the Bar Association of Queensland and the Australian government has seen 90 law graduates enhancing their skills with some of Australia's top legal experts. This partnership is into its 4th consecutive year and sees members of the Queensland Bar volunteering their time and experience to training law graduates. LTI Director Pauline Mogish described how the program strengthens essential skills, including researching facts, mediation, negotiation, providing sound legal advice to clients, and making submissions before a court. LTI class representative Ethel Heagi said the training helped them refine their skills and build their self-confidence. Sister Margaret Tish, a former principal of St. Mary's Asitavi High School in the autonomous region of Bougainville, is proud of the school's achievements. Speaking to MTV News in Wakunai, central Bougainville, Sister Margaret said St. Mary's Asitavi has emerged from its humble beginnings in 1956. As the country looks forward to celebrating its 41st independence anniversary, Asitavi High School will celebrate 60 years of education. Sister Margaret is happy that locals now administer the school once run by missionaries. Fabian Hakalitz reports from Buka.
Sister Margaret Tish is a Catholic missionary from the Missionary Sisters of the Society of Mary, Marist, and a former principal of the then St. Mary's Asitavi High School. St. Mary's Asitavi is the only all-girls secondary school in the autonomous region of Bougainville. Returning to Bougainville after 34 years to celebrate with the school 60 years of Diamond Jubilee is a joy.
I was 14 years at Asitavi and I never dreamt of coming back here like this, so I am over the moon to be back here in Asitavi. It wasn't even a dream of mine that I would ever return, so this month has been heaven on earth.
Sister Margaret came to Bougainville in 1969 and was the principal for 14 years until 1982. During her time, she joyfully told MTV News the Marist had a dream to be positive and provide quality and lifelong education for all Bougainville women.
Bishop LeMay was very supportive of the school, and it was Bishop Wade who decided that the school would be here. Sister Mary Catherine, who started the school, she wanted to start it in Turiboiru. He said no, we wanted central, and it couldn't have been a better spot, Asitavi, in the centre of Bougainville, where people can come from north and south. And
St. Mary's Asitavi was well known for producing some of Bougainville's top elites who have contributed meaningfully to development in the autonomous region of Bougainville, Papua New Guinea and overseas.
And the first woman pilot was from this school. The first woman engineer was from this school. We had a lot of them in the diplomatic service, and they're in all the very top jobs in Australia. You know, they're in top jobs over Australians. And one of the girls from here went to Rockhampton University to do postgraduate studies in English. She topped the whole of the class over the Australians and everyone else, because the girls here spoke English at all times and their English is perfect. So I am very, very proud of them.
On Sunday, Bishop of the Bougainville Catholic Diocese Bernard Unabali presided over the Holy Eucharist, marking 60 years of Diamond Jubilee. The Diamond Jubilee united all former and current female students, including males, because for some time after the civil war on the island, they were enrolled.
So those three things, courage, loyalty and truth, helped me through. There were three of us. And one of those virtues that nuns taught us here was always to be one and always to say no to things that are not right.
In that idea, we got from being sacrificing ourselves with food. The purpose of coming here is to be educated and to get the knowledge and the skills we need to help our people in the community and in the region as well.
I can be one of them too, because I can study in here, like there's no disturbance and it's very good for us the girls.
We worked hard to mold the students to be where they are now. For me, having the 60th Diamond Jubilee and having sister coming all the way from Australia, it is a blessing to all the current students, also the current teachers, and for us to see all of them meeting now at the celebration, it is a blessing to all of us.
With the motto Courage, Truth and Loyalty principle, Mrs. Barry says this has kept the school going, and as the school celebrates its 60 years of Diamond Jubilee, the focus now is to provide quality teaching and learning for all in Bougainville. In Asitavi, Wakonai District, Central Bougainville, Fabian Hakritz, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Institute of Business Studies to offer degree programs in 2017. That story, among others, after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Institute of Business Studies will be offering degree programs in 2017. This comes after IBS received accreditation from the Department of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology in June this year. With the limited number of spaces at universities and the disturbing number of school leavers every year, this new development at IBS will increase the number of options for grade 12 school leavers in the country.
The new degree programs will be offered at the Mount Ariama campus outside Port Moresby commencing Semester 1 2017. The announcement was made today by the IBS Executive Director, Edward Silva. The courses are Bachelor of Accounting and Finance, Bachelor of Business and Management, Bachelor of Economics and Development, and Bachelor of Information Technology. Mr. Silva said the new courses were developed, giving immense importance to meet PNG industry needs.
So we are proudly announcing now that IBS is ready to award these degree programs in the future. Starting from the first year will be 2017. So the students, those who are really sitting for grade 12 exams this year, will be eligible if they really get the GPA rate. There was an immense requirement which came through from the higher education sector that there is a need to develop a degree programs which is really tailor-made to the Papua New Guinea requirements as well.
The new courses will be offered alongside the 2 existing Southern Cross University courses. The accreditation came after years of hard work in proving IBS was all about quality education. Since its establishment over 25 years ago, some 20,000 students have passed through the institute.
The Papua New Guineans have lot of capacities. So it's just that someone in the administration must take care of it, because the future of Papua New Guinea is all depending on these youngsters, and if they are educated, then they will really take this country forward.
IBS is also physically preparing for next year with the construction of a multi-purpose building nearing completion. It will house a number of lecture rooms, computer labs, the administration offices, and a larger library. Mr. Silva said interest is growing and IBS is expected to have an intake of 400 pioneer degree students next year. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
Meanwhile, IBS Executive Director Edward Silva said the unavailability of finance is the biggest challenge for students. He urged financial institutions as well as government institutions to come up with loan schemes to assist genuine students settle school fees.
The main problem that we see from the students are the financial support, because the many students are finding it difficult to finance themselves. So in fact, we are trying to negotiate and we are trying to discuss with various financial institutions, and I am honestly requesting financial institutions and national institutions who are dealing with finance to help these students to finish their degree programs and assist them. Maybe kindly some kind of a loan scheme at a very lower interest rate. If we can come out with, then that will help the entire Papua New Guinea in building the knowledge base.
Kumul Holdings Limited has presented 100,000 kina to the Tourism Promotion Authority to support the tourism sector in the country. This funding will go towards organizing the PNG Tourism Conference and the Lukim PNG Exposition from the 21st to the 27th of this month. Eric Harupma with this report.
Officiating at the check presentation ceremony with Kumul Petroleum officials, Tourism Promotion Authority CEO Jerry Agus, Marketing Director Alice Kwanengi, and PNG Tourism Association Executive Officer Christine Paypul. The total cost for the events are more than 450,000 kina, which the tourism sector have secured 380,000 kina. Speaking during the event, Mr. Agus said this is the first time a company within the mining and petroleum sector is supporting the country's tourism industry with 100,000 kina.
100,000 is a huge support for us that will go a long way into hosting this very important event. It's 2 events that we are hosting. One is the National Tourism Conference. The second event that will be hosted from the 21st to the 27th is the Tourism Industry Expo.
Mr. Agus said this PNG oil and gas company fully embraces the importance of the sector in a big way. So far, contributions have come from Office of Arts and Culture 20,000 kina, Investment Promotion Authority 10,000 kina, PNG Ports 25,000 kina and National Airports Corporation 10,000 kina. These organizations play a leading role in boosting the tourism industry in Papua New Guinea.
So it's going to be a huge event for us. We are getting representatives from the World Tourism Body, United Nations World Tourism Organization representative will be there. We'll also have representatives from Pacific Asia Travel Association as well. And also our regional tourism office will be there, the South Pacific Tourism Organization.
Meanwhile, a total of 35 local exhibitors are set to showcase PNG artifacts to international bidders at the Looking PNG Expo. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Following the start of a 2-week training workshop on demographic health survey, participants will be tested in order to qualify to perform their tasks. The workshop, being held in Leh, is key in collecting data for the health sector. The questionnaires include questions on pregnancy, postnatal care and nutrition. Lead trainer Jessica Ani says participants will do a test in order to qualify to carry out the demographic health survey for Morobe. This is the second day of the workshop. And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080 $0.4042 Australian dollars, $0.2710 euro and 31.01 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, coffee closed lower, while copper closed the day unchanged. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 239 points higher, the ASX is trading 6 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 5 points lower. Philippines President calls for US military removal in southern Philippines, another nuclear test by North Korea, and the incredible story of a baby born at sea. All those stories after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, and Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte yesterday called for the withdrawal of United States military from Mindanao in the southern Philippines. Duterte says he fears an American troop presence could complicate offensives against Islamist militants notorious for beheading Westerners.
Duterte, who was in the spotlight last week over his televised tirade against the United States President Barack Obama, said special forces now training Filipino troops were high-value targets for the Islamic State-linked Abu Sayyaf as counter-insurgency operations intensify. The comment by Duterte, a former Southern mayor known for his terse words and volatile temperament, adds to uncertainty about what impact his rise to the presidency will have on one of Washington's best alliances in Asia. Duterte also defended his actions at the East Asian Summit in Vientiane when he detracted from his prepared speech and went on a tirade about human rights violations caused by American soldiers.
Mr. Obama, when you accuse me of killing, which you do not have also the facts anyway, whether legitimately killed in an encounter with the police or those simply murdered by their cohorts, wala kang ipinakita. And you said, Duterte hurting words. What? You cannot even, you have not even apologized to the Filipino nation.
The toll on Duterte's 2-month war on drugs reached 2,400 last week, with police saying 900 people died in police operations and the rest were deaths under investigation, a term human rights activists call a euphemism for vigilant and extrajudicial killings. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
The US flew 2 B-1 bombers over South Korean airspace in a show of force against North Korea. Officials from both countries say they will cooperate with the UN Security Council on new sanctions against Pyongyang for its repeated nuclear tests.
Kim Jong-un's largest nuclear weapons test ever soon may be followed by yet another test of a nuclear device, according to U.S. and South Korean officials. An unprecedented action by the regime. It would be the 6th test overall and the 3rd this year. South Korea is getting ready for the worst-case scenario, says its defense minister. The more than 28,000 U.S. troops on the peninsula remain, as always, on high alert. The Pentagon promises an umbrella of protection, including American nuclear weapons.
The United States remains committed to the defense of the ROK against the North Korean threat with all aspects of conventional missile defense and nuclear capability.
U.S. B-1 bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons and other U.S. and South Korean aircraft are expected to fly over the Korean peninsula as soon as Tuesday in a symbolic show of force, according to U.S. officials. But for now, a U.S. military response seems unlikely because Kim appears unwilling to back off and no one knows how he might respond.
The risk and the cost in this case is that they could retaliate in nuclear terms, which would be disastrous, or they could retaliate in conventional terms, which would be as dangerous in terms of the thousands of artillery tubes on the border.
Last week's nuclear test may have been a game changer. U.S. officials believe it's likely the regime did test a nuclear warhead.
Now they seem to have made smaller and more powerful warheads, and their statements suggest they have perfected or come near to perfecting a design that they can now mass produce.
Kim may now have several critical components. A miniaturized warhead that can be put on a missile, hard-to-track submarine and road-mobile launchers for those missiles, and missiles powered by solid fuel, which allows for little warning time of a launch. All of this giving Kim Jong-un exactly what he wants: to demonstrate to the world he has a nuclear weapons capability that can survive a first strike by the U.S. No one really knows what Kim Jong-un is thinking, but there is speculation among U.S. officials that he might be trying to put all the nuclear pieces into place before a new president comes into office, believing he will have a strengthened hand come January.
Giving birth is a major ordeal for any woman, but imagine having to give birth on a boat. A baby boy was born in a refugee rescue boat in the Mediterranean Sea. He is doing well.
Sunbreak in the high seas, mid-Mediterranean. It's not how you would envisage giving birth, but that's exactly how little Newman came into the world. Born on a Doctors Without Borders refugee vessel, rescued as his Nigerian mother made a dangerous journey from Libya.
We were alerted to the fact that there were 2 rubber dinghies that needed to be rescued. We brought on board a total of 252 people, which included 5 pregnant women, 2 of whom were very pregnant. At 6:30 this morning, I was alerted that one of the women was in labor. And by 7 o'clock, we had a new member of our list of passengers.
A dramatic entry recorded on a plain piece of paper. No scales to weigh him, no ruler for height. Just longitude and latitude to mark his place of birth. Born right here, straddling Libya and Malta.
We know where the boat was. I can't tell you his exact weight. I can tell you he's a good weight for his size, and he looks healthy and happy. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Newman is not the first to be born on the high seas. Last month, these 2 premature twins were born on board a rickety boat off the Libyan coast. They're now being looked after in Palermo, Italy, with their 26-year-old Eritrean mother keeping a close eye on them. According to the International Organization for Migration, more than 3,000 people have died in these waters so far this year. For once, a chance to give life rather than having it taken.
You're with National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. We will have volleyball, weightlifting and football. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The National Volleyball Championship entered day 2 of competition today at the Taurama Aquatic Centre, with the under-21 divisions going into its elimination rounds. After a tough day, NCD and Central-based teams made it to the finals. Dina Rose Raiko with the details.
In the men's under-21 division, Pool A, Team Fairfax 1 and Hula made it to the 2 top spots, and they will face NCD VA1 and Vabukori in Pool B for the grand final tomorrow. And in Pool C, NCD VA3 and Vabukori will face new contender Ravuoni Urapo Eagles and yet another power team, Fairfax 2. Team Huangulf for the Morabes side did not make it to the finals after it was eliminated by Fairfax 2. The women's under-21 division are currently playing the elimination rounds, and later tonight, 6 grand final contenders will eventuate from these matches. The men's grand final will serve off at 10 a.m. tomorrow and the women's at 1:30 p.m. Awards presentation for this division are expected to follow right after, which will also coincide with the official formalities from Sports Minister Justin Chachenko and NCD Governor Powes Pakop. Dina Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
Top Papua New Guinean weightlifters will now prepare to secure places in Team PNG ahead of the Commonwealth Games. Since the success of PNG weightlifting at the previous Commonwealth Games, now the Federation is preparing to maintain and set the standard.
Top PNG weightlifters will now have the chance to qualify for 2 international competitions in order to make Team PNG for the next Commonwealth Games in Australia. This includes 2014 Commonwealth gold medalists Dick Atoa and Stephen Curry, who missed out on this year's Rio Olympic Games.
What a fight! Wow.
Next year's Oceania Championships will be an important lead-up for athletes to compete as they focus on the 2018 Commonwealth Games. PNG Weightlifting Federation is now in negotiations with the PNG Olympic Committee for funding to meet expenses in Noumea for athletes attending the academy in New Caledonia. PNG's continuous success has not only been at the regional level, but also at the Commonwealth Games. The PNG weightlifting fraternity now look to groom new talent who have the potential to be the next best lifter for PNG. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
To football now, and the key objective of the Under-20 Women's World Cup to be held in November is to inspire women and to highlight issues that affect women in PNG. These were the comments made by LOC CEO Seamus Martin at the 3rd National Sports Conference in Port Moresby recently. Jeremy Moggy reports.
At the presentation held at the National Sport Conference in Port Moresby, the FIFA World Cup Local Organizing Committee's Chief Executive Officer highlighted the progress of preparations and also gave participants a glimpse of what to expect during the international event.
You look up at the grandstands of all these tournaments where they've been played in other countries. The stands are empty. So for us, one of our first challenges is to fill the stands. When history looks back at this tournament, we want them to be packed with Papua New Guinea faces, enjoying the event and enjoying the sporting spectacle. We know from the Pacific Games last year how enthusiastic Papua New Guineans are about sport.
Martin reiterated that this was an opportunity to not only showcase the country, but also to show Papua New Guinea's ability to host such an event.
Part of our challenge as a local organising committee is to educate and to highlight just what a massive opportunity is, and these sorts of forums where you can become ambassadors for our event and for the country also really help us to do this.
At the launch of the Winners' Trophy 2 weeks prior, Minister for Sport Justin Chachenko expressed satisfaction and immense pride at Port Moresby and the country as a whole in hosting the World Cup. Other stakeholders, including the PNG Sport Foundation, the National Capital District Commission, as well as the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Tobias Kulang, also pushing his office to do as much as they could for the event.
We lost the opportunity for at the South Pacific game. Tourism office did not work and collaborate with the sporting ministry like what we are trying to do now.
Part of Martin's presentation also echoing the sentiments conveyed by FIFA's head of women's competition, Tatiana Haney.
We know that worldwide a lot still needs to be done for women and girls who want to play football. It's by far not on the level, on a similar situation as men's football. And we do think that hosting a tournament can only help the growth of women and girls football, and not only on a sporting aspect, but really of the role of women in society.
With a crowd capacity across all 4 FIFA competition venues at a maximum of 37,000 people, the local organizing committee is hopeful to fill all 4 stadia during the competition in November. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with Rugby League World Cup and the Prime Minister's 13. That's after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Rugby League World Cup Organising Committee has announced that the Women's Rugby League World Cup will be held concurrently with the men's tournament. Following the official announcement in Sydney, World Cup Chief Executive Officer Andrew Hills described the occasion as a historic milestone in recognition of women's involvement in the sport of rugby league.
Organising Committee of the Rugby League World Cup today announced that for the first time in the history of sports, the Women's Rugby League World Cup will occur concurrently with the men's tournament. With funding from Australia, women's pool matches and semi-finals will be played in the territory of NRL Premiership team, the Cronulla Sharks, from November 16 next year, with both men's and women's finals played as a double-header in Brisbane on 2nd December 2017. Chief Executive Officer Andrew Hill said the tournament will provide women a perfect platform to demonstrate their world-class talent. He said it is only fitting to give these athletes the opportunity to showcase their skills on a global stage. Women's involvement in all forms of rugby league is the fastest growing category in the game, and Women's International Rugby League World Cup has made great strides in the recent years. New South Wales Minister for Sport Stuart Ayers said Women's Rugby League continues to go from strength to strength, with the 2017 Women's World Cup being a massive drawcard. Women's Rugby League World Cup 2017 will be a standalone tournament involving 6 teams from 3 continents, Europe, North America and Oceania, which includes Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The Prime Minister's 13 clash between Papua New Guinea and Australia will act as an avenue to promote the Stop Violence message. Players from both teams will go around Port Moresby talking to students and young people to drive the message of the negative effects of domestic violence and violence in sports.
Minister for Sports Justin Chichenko says with the recent violent actions that have happened in the sport of rugby league, the government has condemned violence in sport.
No matter what it is or what sporting code it is. And we have gone through a lot in the last 3 weeks with this violence in sport. And this promotion of violence in sport in the PM13s is to give our public and give the Australians and give our rugby league fraternity the clear message that we don't tolerate violence in sport at all.
This has resulted in players from the Hagen Eagles not being selected in this year's PM's 13 team.
We made a decision not to select players from the Hagen Eagles after the incident, full stop. An incident happened where the team has been banned. The Digital Cup competition organizers banned the team for 3 years and suspended a few players.
The consequences of violence in rugby league will be thoroughly looked at by the PNG RFL board.
We need to send a message to show the gravity of the situation. So we asked the selectors and the coach not to select any Hagen Eagles players. And that is something that we will enforce.
With all that has happened, Minister Chichenko says we have to promote no violence and look forward to the Rugby League World Cup 2017 in Port Moresby.
So we must never allow this to happen again. We continue moving forward for the betterment of sport and for promotion of the game. So the theme for the PM13 as well will be violence, no violence at all in sport, and to totally not accept violence against our women.
Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. We'll have your weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma, Alota, Popondetta. Rain and showers with a top temperature of 31 degrees. To the Momasa region, rain and showers in Ley and Wau. Thundery showers in Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, a shower or two expected in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, as well as in Kimbe. Rain and showers in Lorengau, a few showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, you can expect some rain and showers over the next 24 hours. To the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, and there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerama, Yule Island, Hood Point, Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, and all Milne Bay Islands including Finchafen through Vitias Strait, CSC Islands to Long Island. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point, Samurai, and waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel, Finchafen, and waters of Finchafen through Vitias Strait, CSC Island to Long Island, seas 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Madang to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters, and waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas rough with east to southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. Solomon Seas, seas moderate to rough with east to southeasterly winds at 15 to 24 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 25 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with east to southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Before we go, recapping our main stories for tonight. PNG Nurses withdraw stop work declaration. Pacific Island judges talk technology for quality. And St. Mary's Asitavi High School celebrates 60 years in education. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant viewing. Good night.